I am Amalia, and from my earliest memories, responsibility was my constant companion. Our modest home buzzed with activity, with my two younger brothers dashing around, and later the arrival of my baby sister, Sarah, when I was 10. "Amalia, honey, could you help change Sarah's diaper?" Mom would call out, her voice weary from working double shifts. Without hesitation, I dropped what I was doing and rushed to her aid. That was our normal. Everyone pitched in except for Sarah. From the moment she arrived, it was clear she was different. "She's just a baby. Let her be," Dad would say, brushing off any concerns about her behavior. I watched as my parents wore themselves thin trying to provide for us all. Dad at the construction site, Mom cleaning houses. They did everything they could to keep food on the table and dreams alive in our hearts. My brothers, Mike and David, often felt lost between my responsibilities and Sarah's privileges. We exchanged knowing glances across the dinner table when Sarah would throw another tantrum and get her way again. I was determined to break free from this cycle, so right after high school, I started working. The local diner wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Every penny went into my college fund jar, hidden away in my closet. Late at night, I would count it, dreaming of the day I would finally have enough to enroll in community college. Within a year, my managers noticed my dedication, promoting me from waitress to handling the books. Suddenly, my college dreams seemed more attainable. I enrolled in evening classes, juggling work and studies with a determination that surprised even me. Exhaustion set in. Some nights I would fall asleep over my textbooks only to wake up at dawn for another shift. Watching Sarah sleep until noon, skip school at will, and face no consequences only fueled my drive to succeed. "You're going to burn yourself out," Dad warned one evening, finding me studying in the kitchen at midnight. I looked up from my accounting homework and smiled. "Maybe, but I'm going somewhere, Dad. I promise you that." My college degree opened doors I never thought possible. First National Bank hired me as a junior analyst, and I threw myself into the work with the same determination that got me through school. Within months, my supervisor pulled me aside. "Amalia, I've never seen someone pick things up so quickly," she said. "Keep this up, and you'll go far." She wasn't wrong. I had a knack for numbers and an even better one for dealing with people. While others complained about office politics, I navigated them effortlessly. Perhaps all those years of managing family dynamics had taught me something useful after all. Meanwhile, Mike and David had moved out, starting their own lives, but Sarah was still at home, living the same consequence-free life she always had. Mom would call me with updates I didn't want to hear. Sarah was out until 3 a.m. again. She'd sigh. "I worry, but you know how she is." I did know. I also knew about the parade of boyfriends, the failing grades, and her general lack of direction, but it wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life now, my own apartment, my own goals. Then came the call that changed everything. "Sarah's pregnant," Mom announced one morning. "The father's gone to Arizona. He wants nothing to do with it." I gripped my phone tighter as she continued. "And we'll help her raise the baby, of course. What else can we do?" Of course, they would. Sarah was still their precious baby, even at 18 and pregnant with her own child. I stayed silent, already knowing what was coming next. "You'll help too, won't you, Amalia? Come over on weekends. You're so good with children." That's when I began developing an impressive array of excuses. Urgent work projects, professional development courses, client meetings, anything to avoid spending my precious free time taking care of yet another child. "I don't understand you anymore," Mom said during one particularly tense phone call. "You used to be so helpful." "I used to be a child forced to be helpful," I corrected her. "I'm an adult now, with my own life. But family works both ways, Mom. Or have you forgotten the money I send every month?" That usually shut her up, at least temporarily. The checks I wrote were substantial enough to cover Sarah's prenatal care, baby supplies, and ongoing expenses, but they were never enough to buy their approval. My Aunt Lisa told me over coffee one day, "They're calling you heartless behind your back, you know, saying you've changed, become cold." I stirred my coffee slowly, watching the cream create patterns in the dark liquid. "Let them talk. They've never understood me anyway." "They say you're ungrateful," she pressed. I looked her straight in the eye. "Ungrateful for what?" "The privilege of raising their other children. The opportunity to now raise their grandchild. I've earned everything I have, Aunt Lisa." The promotion to senior analyst came through that week, along with another salary increase, and so did the checks I sent home. But I kept my boundaries firm. No weekend babysitting, no emergency childcare, no last-minute favors. Let them call me callous. I had spent enough of my life being the responsible one. Between client meetings and financial reports, romance wasn't exactly a priority. My dating app sat mostly unused on my phone, until that rainy Tuesday night when James's message popped up. Something about his profile seemed different. Maybe it was his genuine smile or the absence of shirtless gym selfies. "I work in finance," his message read. "I'm actually an investment advisor. Maybe we could bore each other with market talk over coffee." That coffee turned into dinner, which turned into weekends, which turned into 2 years of a relationship I never thought I'd have time for. James was patient, understanding of my work schedule, and somehow managed to make me laugh even after my most stressful days. "You know," he said one evening as we walked through the park, "I never thought I'd find someone who understands both compound interest and my terrible jokes." Then came the proposal. Nothing flashy, just us in my apartment after a home-cooked meal. "I can't imagine my life without you," he said, holding out the ring. "Marry me?" I said yes before he could even finish the question, and introducing James to my family went surprisingly smoothly. Even Sarah behaved herself, which felt like a minor miracle. My parents were overjoyed, thrilled that their workaholic daughter was finally settling down. "He's wonderful, Amalia," Mom gushed after our first family dinner. "Did you see how great he is with Tommy?" she added, referring to Sarah's son, my nephew, who had instantly taken a liking to James. The wedding was beautiful and married life began perfectly. James fit into the family as if he had always been there, spending hours playing with Tommy, teaching him to throw a ball and build with blocks. I noticed Sarah watching these interactions with an intensity I didn't quite register at the time. "He's going to be such an amazing father," she remarked, smiling at me meaningfully. "You're so lucky, Amalia." That's when the questions began, first from my family and then from James himself. "Don't you think it's time?" he'd ask, watching Tommy run around our living room. "We're not getting any younger." I explained my position again and again. "I want us to be completely ready. We need our own house first, not just this apartment. We need savings, security." "But we're doing well," he would counter. "We both have good jobs. What are we waiting for?" "For the right time," I insisted. "One child when we're ready, that's the plan we agreed on." He would sigh and drop the subject, but I could feel his disappointment. At family gatherings, I'd catch him looking wistfully at Tommy. "Your sister manages just fine," he'd say sometimes, not quite hiding the edge in his voice. "My sister lives with her parents and relies on their retirement savings." I'd reply, "That's not what I want for our child." The tension grew slowly, almost imperceptibly, like storm clouds gathering on a sunny day. I could sense the rain coming, but I told myself it was still far away. I was too focused on my next promotion, my house savings fund, and the 5-year plan I had carefully crafted. 5 years into our marriage, spring cleaning still meant sorting through James's mess. He could never keep his side of the closet organized. That Saturday morning started like any other, me sifting through old receipts, forgotten gym clothes, and the usual clutter. That's when I found it, a phone I had never seen before, tucked behind his winter sweaters. My stomach tightened as I picked it up. It wasn't his work phone, nor his personal phone. It wasn't even locked. My hand shook as I opened the messages. The first one I saw was from Sarah. "Miss you already. Can't wait until Saturday when she's at work again." There were hundreds of messages, pictures and conversations I wished I could unsee. "Oh, she's so clueless, always at the office. All she cares about is her precious career." The timestamps went back months. My legs gave out, and I sank to the closet floor, reading message after message, each one worse than the last. Then I saw it. "Baby's definitely yours. Doctor confirmed today minus 12 weeks along." I don't remember driving to my parents' house. I don't remember much except the phone clutched in my white-knuckled grip. Sarah was there, of course, watching Saturday morning cartoons with Tommy, one big happy family. "What the hell is this?" I threw the phone on the coffee table. Tommy looked up startled, and Mom quickly sent him to play in his room. Sarah didn't even flinch. She picked up the phone, scrolling through it casually as if checking the weather. "Oh well, I guess you know now. That's all you have to say." "You're sleeping with my husband," I shouted, disbelief washing over me. She shrugged, as if it were no big deal. "Actually, we're in love, Amalia. These things happen. And now, with the baby coming, James and I want to get married once you stop being difficult about it." Difficult? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Well, yes," Sarah said, like she was explaining something simple to a child. "You never wanted children anyway. You're too busy with your precious career. James needs a real family." I turned to my parents, waiting for them to say something, anything, to defend me or condemn this betrayal. Instead, Mom sat down next to Sarah, patting her hand. "Amalia, try to be reasonable. Tommy needs a father figure, and James is so good with him. And now with another baby coming. Reasonable?" My voice cracked. "My husband and sister are having an affair, and you want me to be reasonable?" Dad cleared his throat. "Well, you never wanted children, honey. And James has always wanted to be a father. Maybe this is for the best." "When was the last time you even cooked him dinner?" Mom interjected. "Sarah would make a proper wife." I looked at them, my family all sitting there defending the indefensible. Sarah, smug and pregnant with my husband's child. Mom already planning the next wedding. Dad avoiding my gaze but clearly on their side. A proper wife. I repeated numbly, "Just like your precious Sarah, who sponges off you and sleeps with her sister's husband." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic, Amalia. Just go back to your big office and your important meetings. Leave the family stuff to people who actually care." The drive home from my parents' house felt like a blur, the world around me seeming unreal, as if I were merely an observer of someone else's life unraveling. When I stepped through the front door, James was in the living room, acting as if it were just another ordinary Saturday. "Hey, honey." He turned to hug me, his familiar smile plastered on his face. The same smile I once loved, now twisting my stomach into knots. I stepped back and held up his second phone. "Want to explain this?" The change in his expression was instantaneous. Confusion, recognition, then fear. "Where did you find it?" "While cleaning." "You really should find better hiding spots for your fair phones." "Amalia, I can explain." "Explain what?" "The messages. The photos. Or maybe how you got my sister pregnant." He tried denial first, as they all do. "It's not what you think. I didn't." But the look on my face must have told him everything, and suddenly his mask slipped away. "Fine. Yes, Sarah and I are together," he snapped. "What did you expect? You're never home. All you care about is work. When was the last time we had a real conversation about starting a family?" "Oh, so this is my fault. You cheated because I wanted financial security before having children." "You never really wanted kids. You always had excuses. The house, the savings, the right time." Sarah actually wants a family. She understands what's important in life. I looked at the man I once knew, now a stranger wearing my husband's face, and felt nothing but disgust. What's important in life is loyalty, honor, basic human decency. But I guess those things don't matter to you or my sister. "Don't act all high and mighty," he snarled. "You're just angry because Sarah's giving me what you wouldn't." The next day, I filed for divorce, armed with documentation of the affair. The process was swift. My brothers, Mike and David, came to help me move out of the apartment, the only ones who stood by me. "She was spoiled," Mike said as we packed boxes, "but this is a new low." David could barely utter Sarah's name. "They're dead to me," he declared. Through my brothers, I heard updates I never wanted but couldn't help but know. James and Sarah got married in a small ceremony with my parents proudly in attendance. Their baby was born, a girl. They moved into a small house in the suburbs. Tommy started calling James Dad. Mom kept pushing for us to visit them. "We need to be a family again," Mike told me during one of our monthly dinners. "We are a family," David said, raising his glass. "The three of us." I nodded, grateful for my brother's loyalty in a world where loyalty seemed meaningless. We understood that some betrayals can't be forgiven, some bridges can't be rebuilt, and some families are better off broken. Years can change everything. My new apartment overlooked the city skyline, with floor-to-ceiling windows, marble countertops, and enough space to finally display the art collection I had always wanted. The Mercedes parked in my reserved spot gleamed under the garage lights. I had made it just as I planned. My brothers visited often, sharing news and rumors of Sarah and James struggling to make ends meet, moving 3 times in 2 years, each apartment smaller than the last. But I didn't care. Their lives were no longer my concern. Until that Tuesday evening when my phone lit up with a number I hoped never to see again. "Amalia," James's voice sounded older but still familiar enough to make my stomach clench. "Please don't hang up." I should have hung up. Instead, I listened. "We need your help," he said, as if he had any right to ask me for anything. "Sarah had an accident. She broke her leg badly, compound fracture. She's had surgery, but she can't move around. She can't take care of the kids, and she's pregnant again. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, wondering if this was some kind of cosmic joke. The kids need someone to pick them up from school and watch them until I get home from work. Tommy's getting too big to handle everything himself. He paused. We thought maybe you could help. Help? My voice came out eerily calm. They're your nephews, Amalia, your family. Sarah can't even get to the bathroom by herself right now. My family, I repeated, incredulous. The sister who slept with my husband. The husband who cheated on me. That's my family. Don't be like that, he snapped, his tone shifting from pleading to accusatory. This isn't about us. It's about innocent children who need help. Are you too selfish to care about them? Too selfish. I almost laughed. That's rich coming from you. We're struggling here. His voice rose. Do you know how expensive kids are? I'm working overtime just to keep food on the table. We can't even afford a decent apartment anymore. Meanwhile, you're living it up in your luxury condo with your fancy car. So that's what this is about, money? Not all of us can focus only on our careers, he said bitterly. Some of us have real responsibilities. It must be nice to have all that money and no one to spend it on but yourself. Must be nice to have the family you stole and no way to support them. Sounds like a real dream come true, I replied coldly. The kids need parents who didn't build their relationship on betrayal. Goodbye, James. I hung up mid-protest and blocked his number before he could call back. My mother's number appearing on my phone was almost as unwelcome as James had been, but I answered anyway, a habit I couldn't quite break. Amalia, my mom's voice had that tone, the one she always used when she wanted something. We need to talk about Sarah. She needs help. James called you, didn't he? I paced my living room, fighting the urge to hang up immediately. Yes, he did. And I'll tell you what I told him. Not my problem. How can you be so cold? She's your sister. She's struggling with 3 children. The sister who slept with my husband. That was years ago, Amalia. You need to move past it. We're family. Funny how family only matters when you need something from me. We've helped her as much as we can. Mom's voice cracked. But she keeps asking for money, for the kids, for rent, for everything. We've gone through all our savings. Your father and I can't keep this up. I couldn't help but laugh. So the golden child is finally becoming too expensive to maintain. Don't be cruel, she said. She's never learned to work, support herself, or take responsibility for her actions. Gee, I wonder why that is. She keeps having babies, Mom shouted in frustration. She won't look for a job, says she's too busy with the children, but she's always asking for money, always needing something. Sounds like exactly the person you raised her to be, I said coldly. The princess who never had to face consequences. You have no right to speak to me like that, Mom's voice rose. I am your mother. And whose fault is it that Sarah turned out this way? Who taught her that she never had to work for anything? That someone would always bail her out. We did our best. No, you did your easiest, and now you're calling me because the monster you created is too expensive to feed. You have a duty to help your family. Mom was almost shouting now. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me, you mean like supporting my sister when she had an affair with my husband, or like calling me selfish for wanting financial security before having children? I don't owe you anything. I hung up before she could respond, my hand shaking with 4 years of pent-up rage. The expensive view from my apartment windows suddenly seemed like the best revenge. I had built my life exactly as I had planned it, without their help or their approval. Mike called me one evening while I was reviewing quarterly reports. You'll never guess who tried calling me today, Sarah. I already knew. The desperation tour was making its rounds. Bingo, Mike continued. Wanted me to help with the kids, maybe loan them some money until they get back on their feet. He snorted as if they were ever on their feet to begin with. What did you tell her? Same thing David told her yesterday. That some betrayals can't be undone. That what she did to you wasn't just cheating. It was destroying a family. She started crying, saying we were being cruel. That family should help family. I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the city lights. I reminded her she didn't treat family with any kindness. Good, you're both better off without them. I smiled at my brother's support. Thanks, Mike. Don't thank me yet. David and I have been talking. We want to do something nice for you. Like what? Come out to dinner with us next weekend. We'll treat you to a meal somewhere nice. Sounds good, I replied, not bothering to hide my excitement. I could use a night out with you guys. I finally felt free, truly free,